in 2018, that season I was talking about where so much happened, we had a brand new coach. And for so long in my time in the NFL and in life, I felt like I had to pretend.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had to pretend. And even I felt like I had to pretend that I just loved football and it was the only thing I cared about, when in all reality, I love like learning and school and all the things. And I love listening to people and just hanging. And I love, even just like the personality types of football player, you think like big, bad, and all the, and I'm like, dude, I'm super kind and nice and emotional. And so we had a coach, and he came in, and his motto for our team that year was be you. It was be you. I don't care what you like or what you dislike, be you. And interestingly enough, that was his theme for our team that year. But personally, it was a theme that started to really resonate in my heart. Sam, you have to be you. I remember a week going into training camp, just feeling a ton of pressure after signing this big contract and going to, new coaches and everything. I'm supposed to be the guy this year, and I finally made it, and feeling all this pressure, and sitting down with a buddy of mine. And I was in a really dark place emotionally. Relationships, all of my relationships with family, friends, wife, kids were struggling. And so I remember just saying, hey, I just want to get back to football. I just need the season to start. Let me just get back to football and I'll be able to be fine and everything will be good. He said, and I was crying in front of this dude, like just in tears. And he said, well, Sam, if that's how you feel right now, because I was like, man, my marriage is struggling. My relationship with my kids, I get angry with them so easy. I don't know. And he said, if that's how you are right now, he said, I'm afraid what happens when football ends for you, when you retire. If you're just saying, hey, this off season, anytime and so I remember just sitting there crying, and he said two things. He said, hey, number one, maybe God's writing a book in your life and you may only be on chapter 2. And then he also said something that really stuck with me. He said, oh, by the way, Sam, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. And this is like in my tears and like everything, like snot bubbles, like nice to see you. And he was the one who recommended I talk to that counselor. So a week later, the day we reported a training camp that night, that morning, I'm in a counselor's office. Never met with a counselor in my life, a therapist. And he asked me a couple questions about emotions and hiding and all these things. And he says, what do you do when you get angry? And I look at him, because no one really asked me that question. I said, well, I don't get angry. And he says, well, dude, come on, what do you do when you get angry? And I said, I don't get angry. And he says, well, everyone gets angry. So what do you do when you get angry? And I look at him. It seemed like there was no escape, right? I wasn't gonna win this one. I just started to cry. I started to cry. And as I'm crying, once again, like, like I couldn't control, like I can't control these tears, cry. And he looked at me and he said, oh, Sam, it's nice to see you. And so that was just the beginning of a journey of being seen, right? The next day I'm in front of my teammates and I'm crying and I'm emoting. And it's like, I realized that when I showed people me, I wasn't shunned or rejected or tossed aside or thrown away or cast out. Instead, I was embraced. I was loved. I was accepted. I was welcomed. I was, for lack of better terms, hugged. And so this book was birthed out of a pain of hiding, but a freedom of being seen and being known and being loved.